Hello.
Hi.
Okay.
Sorry about that, everyone. We had double links, and that was supposed to have let everybody in automatically. So here comes everybody.
No worries. How was everyone's weekend? Good? Awesome.
Yes. How was yours?
It was good. I spent time with like my cousin and my sister, so that was nice.
Oh, good.
Yeah. They didn't make it, one of them didn't make it to work on time, but that's okay.
Oh.
We live and we learn. Next time I'll just call them.
Yeah, and family always comes first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay.
Good afternoon / good morning, everyone.
Good afternoon.
And sorry about that, everyone. That was I had a double link in for things this morning, and I was actually on the other link waiting. So I apologize for that. And everything should have been started. I am going to not talk too much because I have construction behind me. Although
are you doing work in your house?
Yeah, I'm getting our stairs redone. We've got some contractors downstairs. So I did want to take just a moment to introduce our speaker though. Can anybody hear me? The saw just started.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. We can hear you.
I love it. Awesome. Krystal, are you on? I think I saw her in there. Krystal?
Her computer's on.
Krystal?
Hey, Jasmine, is that a WNBA hoodie?
It is official.
I had one of those too. I donated it to something else later on, but yeah, I had one.
Yeah. I feel like I am excited to have it, but then I know too much about Fanatics as a company, and I'm like, oh, they got more of my money. you know. But it's one of those things. If you're going to live in sports, you have to represent.
Yeah, I actually got it as like a swag gift at an event. So it was great. I think I wore it maybe like once, and then like I didn't wear it for a while, and I just decided to donate it.
Yeah. It had that moment at during the bubble season where all the guys were supporting, and I thought that was really awesome. I'm trying to do a similar thing with a backboard we just launched supporting women shattering barriers. It's not really executing the way I hoped, but trying to build an icon,
Yeah, sounds actually like a pretty good campaign.
Still has 3 weeks to go, so hopefully it picks up steam.
Cool. Krystal, how are you?
I am good. How are you? I finally made it.
There she is. I was just texting you, Krystal.
Yeah, for some reason I was okay. Yeah, my when I first got on, it said the host was I was waiting for the host.
Yep, that was on me.
And then I finally came on, and then it wouldn't connect. So I'm like, what is going on? And then
we saw you hanging. We saw you hanging out. It looked like you were in here, and we were like, Krystal, so you're here.
Yeah, and then when I finally got in, it froze. So yeah, I had to. I don't know what was going on.
Can't ever be perfect.
That is true.
Awesome. Well, listen, I would love to introduce Krystal quickly. Krystal, I've known for a bit, and again, apologies for the background sawing. I'll be on mute for a sec in a minute. Krystal is, among other things, first of all, she does a lot with, and she'll give her full background with biz dev and working with customers and that sort of thing. And she can go into depth there. but Krystal is also a VC in residence for our fund as well. And we're super excited to have her. So we'll be working together, getting her up to speed on all things investing in startups. And she is going to talk to us today about customer discovery.
Awesome sauce. And then I can go ahead and share my screen, correct?
Yeah, and do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Again, thank you so much, Kate, for the introduction. Again, I'm currently a VC in residence with the W Fund, and I actually have a business of my own. So it's an educational platform for student athletes. So helping them with business and career opportunities. And I work in business development at a tech company based in California called Bevy. So basically what we do is help brands and organizations power the virtual communities and events through our platform as well. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell. And what's crazy, like my background is also on the presentation. So thankfully I can just skip over that slide. So if you want, I can go ahead and start. Is that okay, Charles?
Yeah. Let's get started.
Okay, and then again, I want this to be as interactive as possible. Yes, I don't mind talking, but I'd rather hear from all of you all. So I'll make sure we do that. And I believe my screen just froze again, so just give me one moment.
The beauties of technology.
It is, you know, it's amazing when it works and it sucks when it doesn't. So there's that. And hopefully you don't freeze this soon. If not, I may send over my PDF to either Kate or Charles so you all can bring it up.
Yeah, it's just pending for us, the share screen.
Okay. Same for me. I have the circle going in circles. So
Yep.
I don't know.
If you, yeah, and actually a good suggestion from Tandy, if you actually want to drop the PDF into the chat, then folks could just empty or open it straight up.
Okay, but it's not even allowing me to exit out. It just continues.
Oh
like,
boy.
So I don't know if I need to.
Let me see if I can like auto. Let's just see if I can auto boot you.
Okay.
We will for sure laugh at this one day.
We will.
Okay.
Especially with the song in the back.
Exactly.
Okay, did that boot you? It didn't boot you. So I was trying to just share from my screen. Charles, do you want to try sharing something from your screen to see if it boots Krystal? Otherwise, Krystal, if you just want to log off and log on quickly again.
Okay, I think I may, as much as I don't want
It won't allow me.
Oh boy.
Well, this is.
We are all stuck.
We are.
I'm
Krystal,
Maybe if you all
leave.
go out and come back in, that'll help.
I am leaving right now, so I'll be back soon.
Anybody have anything interesting business-wise this week coming up?
I have some news. So a couple of investors reached out because they saw that I'm in this accelerator, and I think it's exciting that this is bringing like a lot of traction. And I hope you guys are also enjoying that visibility that we're
Great.
having.
Fantastic. That's great news.
Yeah, thank you.
So I had an interesting meeting yesterday. One of my advisors came in to Charlotte, North Carolina from Atlanta to close on a round of funding for his company, and mentioning to the group of investors that he had a connection here, was an advisor for just her. They asked him about the business, and they were like, wow, can we get a meeting with her before you go? So yesterday, last minute, I met with them uptown Charlotte, and it was an amazing meeting. Very interested, and so we're just trying to see where this is going to land. So that was just kind of a fluke of him mentioning the business and them saying, wow, I'm interested in knowing more. So, and it was a great meeting. So that was exciting.
Fantastic.
Yesterday, unrelated to my core business, but very related to my industry. Yesterday, Robert Gronkowski sold one of his NFTs for $500,000, which was just one piece of a pretty big collection. And in the span of like 8 hours, I've been hit up by pro athletes, people from the art world, partners, literally being like, so how can we do something with round 21, which is great. But now I regret, I kick myself that I should have done something in January when I knew this was coming, but trying not to have that regret. But I do think that there's a whole new industry and economy that round 21 is very well positioned to capitalize on.
Love it.
All right, guys. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean
So,
to.
Josh, I could be mispronouncing the name. I'm sorry if I am. Posted a couple of days or a couple of weeks ago about the Diversitech pitch competition in our Slack channel for innovative health tech companies to join the pitch competition. And I found out last night that I've been accepted. So I'm one of the 10 companies that got in. Thanks to
That's
her.
Fantastic.
awesome.
This is kind of related to Jasmine, but I went somewhere this weekend and I saw something like round 21. I'm like, oh my God, round 21. It sounds so familiar. Like, where do I know this from? Round 21. And now I'm like, oh my God, it's Jasmine.
What did
And
you
it was
see?
I think it was like a ping pong or something. It was like something that you guys have, but it was like an event that's like, it's like a huge, I wouldn't say it's huge, but it's like very popular. And I was like, wow, I wish I took a picture now. I'm so sorry about that.
I do too. Anytime people in my life say, I saw round 21, I'm like, where? I'm still so young. That means a lot. Thank you. We did some stuff with, go ahead.
I think it was in like the Wynwood area that I saw it in.
Yes, we have partners down in Miami who are artists, and we also have a showing at Showfields, which is a retail outlet there.
I went to Showfields. That's where it was.
That's awesome. Getting the word out.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I just got off the phone with my developers, and we just started a pilot with one of the charter schools last week, and we're onboarding a second school this week, and it's buggy as hell, but I was like, we're just gonna do this, y'all. It's all good. I appreciate all the hard work y'all doing. So I'm excited about that for the week.
It's all about the start. You just got
I
to
have the
start.
noise
You
off.
gotta do it.
I have the sound off. Where's my coffee?
Great. Well, listen,
Is what?
Belle, your sound is still on. Krystal, why don't we kick back to you and see if you can share your screen now, and we can dive into class.
Awesome. So we're just going.
There we go.
I know. All right, so you all know a little bit about me, so I just want to learn more about you all. And just so tell me about yourself, what's your company and what's your biggest concern regarding like customer discovery. But I see some of you all are ahead of the game already. So just tell me a little bit about yourself. So I guess Jasmine, we can start with you because I see the orange logo. So I know that's for the WNBA. So
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm Jasmine. I founded a brand, Round 21, that sits at the intersection of art and sport. And we effectively bring our artist collective to express ideas the world needs to see on things meant to be played, because we believe both society needs to have a greater sense of self-expression, but what an amazing societal benefit when people come together through play. What you're hearing, the buzz, the chatter that was just being described, is both of my industries are being quite disrupted by digital innovation right now related to NFTs. So although I feel like we've had a business, it does feel like we're back to the starting line on this whole new economy. But it's very exciting that the consumer and people in the world of sports see Round 21 well positioned to help them and to capitalize on this moment. So the biggest concern I have regarding customer discovery is I know how long it takes to build a brand because it requires consistency and time. This is not a promotional business that I'm building. And so I want to be sure that the company Round 21 keeps signals that we have a brand that's about self-expression and sport. And sometimes I miss opportunities where there is quite a high promotional environment like Mother's Day or Black Friday in favor of protecting the brand. And I need to find a way to reconcile that because my business typically does benefit from those promotional windows. And that's when the consumer is really turned on.
Good. Thank you for that. And then anyone wants to go next?
I'll go. My name is Adonica Shaw, and I'm the founder of Surrender Circle. We are the creators of the Wing Women app, which is essentially a peer-to-peer social wellness app that has HIPAA compliant messaging. So it gives women who are in executive roles, up and coming, women in their businesses, companies, thought leaders, all of that good stuff, a place to discuss their wellness concerns, anything regarding their mental health, in an environment where their details, any information they divulge about themselves on the platform is completely confidential, private, and protected. I would say my largest customer acquisition concern right now is trying to figure out A/B testing with Facebook. So I'm in the process of developing several marketing funnels to get people into the product. But before that, it might be a matter of toying either with the messaging or how to position the funnels to get the right customers down the funnel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Hi, I guess I could go next. So my name is Tandy. I'm one of the co-founders of Skintrust. We're focused on increasing access and care satisfaction to patients with skin of color who are, being served by dermatologists or within the dermatology field. I think kind of like the biggest concern regarding customer discovery is right now you're seeing this trend of patient care being more value centered and providing value to the customer. And so now you're seeing a shift also because of the pandemic of people switching to more of a technological aspect. And you hear things like, well, digital hospitals are going to be a thing, right? So I think the biggest concern is really kind of figuring out like that sweet spot, and determining really who is the most important customer to target at this moment. Just because like we have the patient, you have the provider, and you also have like the insurance company, and it's like a really multifaceted kind of organization to work through.
Thank you, Tandy.
I'll go next. And I do have to shut my camera off, my apologies. But I'm Kim Evans. I'm the founder and CEO of Just Her Rideshare. We are a peer-based rideshare company with women drivers for women riders because we want to give women an opportunity, the right to choose who they want to transport them as well as ride with them for a safe work environment. We are, because we not only want to drive, want women to drive and ride safe, but we want to build community with them. So we created in our technology, our community portal, Just Her Hub, that will allow women to connect with one another, engage with one another, as well as our social initiatives, because I am a social entrepreneur. Our biggest challenge right now, I tell you, one of the best things that I did for myself and for my team was to go through a customer discovery program at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. We used a platform innovation within. And it helped me to sort of invalidate sort of my hypothesis going in and thinking that all women viewed safety the same. So it was really great. I am so excited to hear what you have to teach today to add to that. I would also say figuring out my CAC. Right now with the customers, just trying to determine not only how to, I mean, we have ideas about how to get them, but then also retain them as well. And so I'm excited to meet you and to hear what you have to say.
Well, I think I have some big shoes to fill then. But I appreciate that. I think I've heard of Write Her before. I don't know if it was through an ad or someone sent it to me, or maybe I read it in an article, but I love what you're doing. I've heard of that.
Thank
before.
you so much. Thank you.
Anyone else? And I can't see the screen or everyone's faces. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there anyone else?
I'll go. I'm Dr. Dr. Kiki. I am an osteopathic physician. My business is focusing on providing mental health resources and services for physicians, primarily female physicians. Physicians die by suicide greater than any other profession, and female physicians die in greater numbers than males. So I am starting a community, an online community. So my main thing is kind of like on a level of how do I obtain them, how do I keep them engaged, and like with their busy schedule and everything, how is it that I can appeal to them in a way that's beneficial to for us to work together? Because my whole thing is, before I build out my tech platform, is that the community will drive the tech. So listening to what they have to say, understanding, truly defining what they have to say, and what are their needs, desires, and wants will truly help me to say, all right, this is where I'm going to focus my tech on. And then also, like, what are some of the things that I can do on the platform to keep them engaged and wanting more. So that's where I am right now. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you. And I love that option, like where community drives the platform, because that's essentially what we do at Bevy, is helping brands use their communities to drive like support and acquisition of new customers, and then continue to grow their organization or their business. So I definitely get where community plays a part into that. Anyone else? Am I missing anyone else?
I'll go.
Yep. Okay.
Oh. Hello, this is Belle. Hi, I'm Belle Hernandez. I'm the founder of Latin Heat Media. We're a multimedia company which delivers content through editorial, video, and streaming to bridge the gap of the lack of relatability content for a community that is very underserved, which is Latinos, and who are one of the largest media consumers. And one of the issues, or one of the things that I'd like to find out is, we know we have the majority of our audience is Latino, but there is also a lot of crossover audiences that we haven't really found out, like what the percentage of the audience that we have is, because there is a lot of interest right now, and there are a lot of shows that are also expanding the image of who we are and the full breadth of who we are. We're just not immigrants, we're just not farm workers, we're just not maids and all that. So that's an exciting time for us. And I know that there's something that we can figure out about our audience through some of the information that you're going to be providing.
Awesome. And Bill, are you the last one?
No, I'm going to go next. This is Valerie. So I'm with co-founder of NetHub. We're an online community basically of registered professional organizations. We help students positioning them to get connected with these professional organizations through our online network to, really help them find their true career passion. Really what I'm hoping to get out of our discussion today as it relates to the younger generation is how to keeping them, involved and engaged and attracting them. And also, like most everyone here is, retaining them as well.
Awesome.
And I'm just gonna pick up back off of Val. So I just really just built this app for student support staff and our allies around connecting students and families to resources and opportunities that will help them to achieve academic success. And so my concern is by selling to the school, which we know is a large sell cycle, is that my customer, the purchaser, the buyers is actually different, a little bit different than the users who are going to be using it. And so like I have an idea who these people are, but I just feel like it's sometimes like a disconnect. Like I know the product is good for us to use for the schools. On the other hand, okay, do I really want to spend this money, right? So this is where I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, and it's similar to my own journey because how I sell to schools and universities are different than how I sell to student athletes. So yeah, it's very difficult to try to figure out the customer discovery for both of those demographics. So I definitely understand that. So is that everyone?
No, I'm missing. Hey, this is Jose. I'm originally from Ecuador, now based in Brooklyn, and I am the founder of AirPulse, and we are a B2B courier service for internal operations. And what our challenge in terms of customer acquisition is that since we're B2B, we get our customers mostly because they find us, but when I try to find them, it gets a little tricky. So not sure how to how to find more customers instead of them finding us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Did you pitch for Women 2.0 before? Have you pitched for them before?
Yeah, I did in December. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on that. I heard you pitch.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So anyone else? Are we done?
There's, I think, just me left potentially. Hi, Krystal. My name is Irma. I'm the CEO and founder of Cafecito. Our platform helps existing communities engage their members through curating one-on-one connections. So we have a platform and technology that essentially matches that community up for one-on-one breaks and coffee, and then helps the organizer retain them long-term by fostering human connection, essentially. One thing that I would love to learn about today, or just maybe it's a general question, but I originally, one of my target markets was going to be companies, like software companies, right? Because a lot of them are distributed and isolated. But as we were building, had a lot of interviews with folks that run community groups like co-working spaces or professional entrepreneurship groups. And they're actually struggling in terms of connecting people to one another. So we actually shifted our focus to community groups being our primary target market. But I'm sort of like not sure how to balance the primary target market with like potential future markets as well. And like if I should be doing customer discovery with those folks as well in the meantime. But yeah, I would love any insight on that if you do cover that in your presentation today.
Yeah, for sure. And if I don't, just re-ask that question. I can definitely give you some insight onto that. But yeah, so I guess I can go ahead and get started. I know we have about less than an hour. I usually talk really fast sometimes, so hopefully, I know for sure I'll probably get through it. But let's go ahead and get started. So the purpose of this presentation, of course, is to find the old way versus the new way of customer discovery. And then we'll go through the 4 phases of customer discovery and then explain how you can use your customer discovery journey to build out your MVP. So the old way is you have an idea for a product and you build it. And then you develop a value prop, and then that's how you get customers. So that was the old way of building your product and your service. But does anyone know what's the problem with the old way?
You build a product first, but you don't talk to the customer.
Right. So you're building it based off your hypothesis, but you don't even know if it's going to work or not. So most people spend 2 years developing a product and then going to sell it and no one's going to buy it because you're not answering anyone's problems and you're not testing that hypothesis. So basically that's the old way, and it used to work, but it doesn't work anymore. So this is currently the new way, which I love this quote by Jeff. It's like, start with the customer and work backwards. So again, we are going to go over the pain points, the gain points, the customer jobs, so we know what our customer needs. So that way we build a product or a service surrounding their specific needs. So don't know if you know about the customer development model by Steve Blank, but basically we talk about the customer discovery and we talk about the customer validation. So when you're going through this, you ask your customers whether it may be about 5 people, or it can be all the way to 100 people, or you can start maybe with 1 school, and then from that school you do 5 other schools to see if what you're building is actually what they need. And then again, I tested, some people test maybe once, twice, or 3 times. And then from there, you find your evangelists. I call them like your MVSs, your most valuable supporters, because they already like you, they already know you, they already trust you. So that way, when you do build that product, or you do build that community or that service, that they're already there and they know that they're either going to support you or they're going to refer you to people that know that will like your product. So your evangelists, they already have a business problem. They're already aware that they have this problem. They've already searched for a solution. They've tried to DIY it themselves, and most DIY solutions are not good for your customers. And then they also have the access to the budget that is required to purchase your product. All right, so we're going to get into the nitty gritty of this. I remember going through my first pre-accelerator and I used to hate it because they asked us so many questions about our customers, and I'm just like, I have no idea. And they're like, well, you have to find it because it's going to better prepare you for building your product or your service. And so some of the questions are, what functional jobs is your customer trying to get done? Whether it's trying to perform or complete a specific task or solve a specific problem. And then I guess, let me go to Tandy. So right now, about your customers, what do you believe that they're trying to get done?
So I think right now the customer, which would be the insurance companies, are trying to really reduce the amount of like claims that they're having and kind of reduce the costs that they're spending per patient.
Okay, awesome, thank you. And then Belle, so as far as what social jobs is your customer trying to get done? Are they trying to look good? Are they trying to gain power? Are they trying to gain a certain type of status?
I guess all of those. Basically, we have a lot of people who are in the business, and they're trying to get status. They're trying to find out the persons they need to approach. They're trying to get a job. They're trying to be seen. So we get a lot of requests for publicity or articles. So yeah, basically that's the customer. And then the other customer is just someone who's trying to get news about entertainment, who's trying to watch relatable content.
Nice, nice. And that's a good answer. And I cannot remember her name because it's not on my screen, but I do remember her company is Ride Her. And so one of the questions, like, what emotional jobs is your customer trying to get done? I know you talked about security and like having them feel good when they ride with different rideshare companies. Is there anything else that you want to add on to that?
Well, I was just going to say basically what you said is being able to find a stress-free alternative ride share. So just a ride with ease. And so that would be sort of the emotional part that we would hope that our customers would feel good about. But you said it.
Awesome. And then, and I guess if anyone wants to answer the last question, is like, what basic needs is your customer trying to satisfy? Whether it's communication, whether it's food, whether it's housing, any answers for that?
My customers are looking for support with people that they can trust.
Okay. Nice. Awesome. So this, again, more nitty gritty stuff. So what are your customers' pains? So what does your customer find too costly? Does it take a lot of time? Does it cost too much money? Does it require substantial efforts? And then what risk does your customer fear? Is it financial, social, technical? What can go wrong in some of these customer pains? And just let me know if you want to either put it in the chat or you can just say it.
Well, for me, and I didn't get a chance to tell you what my business was, but basically I have an app that helps dental offices, I should say, hire staff more quickly and more affordably. So definitely one of the things that they find too costly is the hiring process, especially if they need someone at the last minute. And so that's one of the things that I am addressing.
Nice. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd say for mine, it would be time in terms of what does your customer find too costly? A lot of the folks that I've talked to usually spend anywhere from like 6 to 8 hours every month, potentially, trying to connect people within their community. So we essentially can remove that that time sink that they're putting in.
Nice. Awesome. So what common mistakes does your customer make, whether it's usage mistakes, whether it is like they feel as though every ride share they take, they're not secure? What are some just common mistakes that you found out with your customer pains?
For my customers, because these are women that tend to be really prominent public figures, you know, they don't really have a place where they can talk. And so some pains that they might have or things that they've made mistakes doing is hopping on social media, talking about some of their concerns, which eventually can cause a backlash or damage to their reputation. And so I would say that's probably a little bit of the last two. It keeps them up at night because they want to be able to get support. They may not have a support system of other like-minded individuals or people that are lateral or have experienced the same type of career success and the same type of career opportunities as them. And unfortunately, even though they're looking for support, they may be looking for it in the wrong places where that information isn't valued and protected the same way it would be with a more private group of people that understood.
Yeah, and I would just piggyback off of that, Krystal, and say that what I'm finding as tragic as it is, and I'm reminded of Samantha Josephson's story, the student at the University of South Carolina that jumped into what she thought was her Uber. So some of the common mistakes that we make are not verifying that the driver is the driver that it's supposed to be. And so tragic. But yeah, those are some of the mistakes that we've made sort of in this industry, is checking and double checking. And so that's what we're going to ensure that will happen within our company.
Nice. And then I guess we can talk a little bit about competitors. So how are the current solutions or the current competitors underperforming for your customers? So whether it's lack of features, performance, malfunctioning, not getting the needs of their consumers correct?
So I think personally for our business, the competitors in the space are not really thinking holistically about how to move a patient from the beginning of their condition before like it has a symptom to when it has a symptom to like the process when they see a doctor to following them after they've seen a doctor and like that continuous journey. So I think that's the difference that we have over our competitors. But I think what they're missing is that they're either only focusing on one skin condition or they're not really focusing, like I said, on the whole patient journey.
Anyone else wants to answer that question?
So could it be, for example, when we look at statistics, we have seen that our competitors, you know, the industry leaders have failed to do comprehensive background checks, which is why some of these perpetrators have gotten through the system and been able to perpetrate crimes. So that you know, that's sort of to me a bad mistake. I don't, you know, would that also apply to what you're saying?
Yes, it does. It does.
Okay.
And it shows basically why you are different and why you are the better solution for like people like us and women like us. So yes, that's correct. Awesome. So now that you have created like all these customer pains about what they're dealing with, now we can go on to like what are the customer gains. So what savings would you make to make your customer happy? So for example, I saw one lady, again, cannot remember your name because I don't see it on the screen, but where you talked about dental offices and where you know, we need someone that is, I need someone right now because right now I have braces and my wires are loose. So it's like, okay, what's something right now that can make me happy? But I also know that with your product and your product that you get dentists and other dentist offices that can find someone really quick so that can help my needs. So that's something that will make me happy and that will save me cost and time than waiting for like my original orthodontist or something like that. But just tell me some other things that can make your customer happy, whether it's terms of time, money, or effort.
This is Jasmine. I think, at least for my business, customers can find delight in creating and feeling like they are co-creating a product or an experience with the brand.
Nice. I like that. Then you did say yours is the intersection of art and sports, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Nice. And then goes back to a little bit about the pains in the customers. I think someone is in the chat. I'm going to still co-creating. Uh-oh. But awesome. So goes back to a little bit about the competitors. So how does your current solutions delight your customers? Again, are your specific features different from the competitors? Or is there a better performance? Is there better quality? But I know we've already talked about how Tandy, yours like holistically, yours is better than the competitors. Is there anything else that specifically makes yours better better for your customers?
I think I think right now also there isn't anyone at all focusing on people of color and skin of color. And I think within the dermatology field, there's a lot of lack of information, I think, in regards to like how different rashes present themselves on skin of color. And I think there are a few physicians on top of that that are specializing in skin of color or are themselves physicians of color. So I think us really focusing on that population and then creating kind of this community for them and allowing the physicians to kind of help those patients on their journey, not just at one point, could really improve their health outcomes. So I think that's like, when you think about like holistically and then like the real benefit that we have, I think is that we're focusing on patients with skin of color.
Awesome. So Jasmine, talk about how does your customer measure success or failure? Because I know you said for your model, it's a little, your business, it's a little different.
Yeah, so we're talking about round 21, which is merging art and sport. I think there's a lot of questions around, is this product to play with or is it to just display? Because it is really vibrant and colorful and has a high premium price point. And what they are telling me with their reviews is success for them looks like, if the question is that they feel like it was worth the money, meaning the promise that you can play and display were both being met. We've had no cases so far of anyone being disappointed. That's not true, actually. There have been a couple of products that in transit, the product has broken, but I've been very quick to respond and say, we're sending you a new one immediately. And ultimately they say it was an awesome product. So generally, I think it's living up to the promise that the product is made for play and display. Other than that, I don't think they have any additional expectations.
Okay, awesome. And then I should have wrote these names down since I didn't see the screen, but there is a young lady that has, she asked a question about her having a product that serves two different demographics and two different audiences. So if you can come up and just tell me like right now about the customer, or how does the customer measure success or failure based off your two demographics or your two different audiences?
Yes, Tasha from We Intervene. So
Tasha.
yeah, sorry, but I didn't introduce myself. I didn't even say the company's name. I just was like, oh, it's Monday. So as I see it, it's gonna be the person that the customer is below the principal, but they're on the school leadership team and they're either a director, an assistant principal, and they're looking at success as the lives that they have impacted as it relates to students and families, right? Like, how do you really quantify these qualitative touch points of social emotional needs, and did we meet the needs of the community, right? So I really do believe that I am also sharing with folks what is possible as it relates to their success metrics, because the current baseline on success in a lot of our schools is, number one, did parents show up to our parent meeting, right? Or, number two, did we do a certain amount of phone calls, right? So I think I'm playing two fields when I start advocating for really knowing who and why an individuals was referred to the mental health, or really interested in why someone would want to go to gifted and talented programs. So I feel like I am creating, and I like Jasmine, co-creation. I'm really creating what is possible, right? When they're able to really start saying like, hey, it's not just anything you want it to be. It is something. To know what CB community-based organization you partnered with, even if it's Warby Parker for glasses for your students, like these stuff are really important to keep track of, and that the whole community has transparency, right? So I know what they thought was successful in their eyes, but I also know what's possible when we start referring and connecting families and students to the appropriate resources when they need them. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does. It does, believe me. And then I guess, what would increase the likelihood of adopting a solution, whether it's lower cost, less investment, lower risk, better quality, performance, or design? And I guess, Belle, I think if you would like to answer that, like what would increase the likelihood of more of your customers developing or adopting your solution?
I think it would be more of the content delivered in a better quality in some cases, more details, and just more of the same, because there is a lack of content. There is a lack of relatability in the content that they see on other sites, and that's one of the big draws that we have, is that our content is about them, our articles are about them, whereas other because we're English language and then there's Spanish language, so there's a lot of Spanish language content out there, but we're specifically English language, and our audience is an English speaking audience. So yeah, just better quality, and more outreach to them to know that the content is there.
Nice, thank you. Anyone else wants to answer that question? If not, we can go on to the next slide. Awesome. So again, these are the customer discovery process is 4 phases. And again, you have your hypothesis, and then you gather your customers, and then you test the product concept. So just let me know, how have you been able to test your hypothesis?
Yeah,
and if not, I can go first. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just turn, because I mean, July 2020, July 2020, I started building this product, right, overseas. And I was just like, it's insanity, right? Like the fact that everyone had to go remote. And I think a year from last March, around March 13th, 2020, a lot of folks had to go remote very drastically. I'm talking about educators. And I was like, this is crazy, because there's a lot of needs in the community. And so how I started doing it is I put out this really interesting call to action video. I was like, hey, imagine if, you were able to get $1 million today from the Robin Hood Foundation. And all they asked was to know what are the exact needs of the people in your community, and what are the data and metrics you use to show it, right? Like really to be able to, and you have 24 hours, right? So you're not gonna have a long time. Like you need to really just click a button and get the data to the foundation, because $1 million is a lot of money. And so a couple of folks reached out, and they was just like, hey, like, we don't have that capability currently, right? Like it would be a really, really long process. And so what I did was I started just talking to a lot of different folks and people in the community. I think someone talked about community building. They put me in touch with the directors or some of their assistant principals. And I just started asking, like, okay, what would it look like for you to really know the needs of the community? Not qualitatively, but quantitatively. And so I just started building alongside a charter school, because my hypothesis is correct. Like if we don't have this data, like there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of students' needs and families that are not being met. So that's how I started my whole process.
Nice. Anyone else has pretty much did this customer discovery process, or did it look totally different?
So with my experience, Krystal, so again, our hypothesis, we went in thinking that all women were afraid when utilizing these services, or were as afraid as we thought. But what we did learn was that there were 2 customer segments. One sort of grew up with sort of stranger danger and not getting into the vehicle with strangers. The other customer segment was, well, I don't necessarily think that something is going to happen every time I get in the vehicle, but I take precautions. I have someone follow me or track my ride, whatever. But what it did help us to do was break down those who were less likely to be afraid. We had to raise sort of a level of awareness with their precautions, taking extra measures. So when we created the community aspect of it, that segment that was less likely to be afraid, they gravitated toward the community. So they said, okay, well, I don't think about somebody's going to murder me every time I get into a vehicle, but I am cautious. I do this, I do that. I text my boyfriend, I have him track me, whatever. But on the other hand, I like what you're doing with this community portal, because you're employing women, you're protecting women. So we had 2 sort of segments that was gravitating, but for different reasons. And so then we started testing it that way. But 95% out of all of our interviews, and we did 31 through the university, we did focus groups, we did forums, 95% of the women said, I would use it if I had the option. And so that's what we wanted to sort of get to, that proven point. It took us a while to get there, but we got to that proven point. So but it was really important to get there.
Nice. And then I can say a little bit about myself, because even when within my own business. It's like I don't launch anything unless like I go to my customers first or my clients first, or even the student athletes that I work with. So the student athletes, they are kind of like my guinea pigs. And if it works for them, then I know it's probably another 100 to 500 to 2,000 student athletes that'll work for as well. So I definitely start with my hypothesis and then I test it and then I create something that will match their needs and their wants. Anybody else that has used these 4 phases to actually test their hypothesis?
I can go. This is Dr. Kiki with the Doctors Under the Radar. So I originally started out thinking that physicians needed the mental health access to providers that were pretty much aware with their issues, have a history of working with physicians. And so my initial idea was to kind of have the marketplace to match physicians with mental health providers. But then I did a survey of a few questions and I broke it down into just a general idea overall of what the issue is, services, and then also a part of the services would be another section for options to get mental health care. They were not so much interested in the provider services, but more so focusing on the community aspect and connecting and being able to talk with each other. And my business, part of it was also to have the platform where they would have communication and be anonymous. So they felt like that was even more important for those people that weren't as willing to share their stories, but they had a lot, especially like medical students and residents that are afraid of affecting their licensure or their next step in life. So that's what made me now focus on the community first and think of everything next. But then also they were just like a platform to hear other people communicating. And that's what made me also look into the podcast, because doctors are like tired of reading. And a lot of times they just want to close their eyes and be able to just, relax a little bit. And with that, that's where the podcast will come into play. And then for those that are visual, you could do the video podcast or just the audio. So that's why I kind of shifted my whole trajectory for the phase 1. And now it's like the podcast, which will increase awareness of what the business is about, increase awareness about me. Because some people are like, well, who are you? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? And then with the podcast, it will increase, more people to the community, and then the community will drive the tech. So it's like, it made me able to truly phase out my business and create a trajectory, or like what is it, like the roadmap of what I'm going to be doing. So that definitely helped me out. In the beginning, I was so anxious to send a survey out. I'm like, it's not that serious, but it showed me just how serious that part of customer discovery was.
Yes, I remember when I had started my business, it was like survey after survey after survey, and I was like so excited but nervous to check it out, to say like, okay, well, if it doesn't work with my hypothesis, am I starting all over or am I on track? So it definitely is like tedious when you like start answering or asking all those questions and sending them out one by one and then checking back with people, see if they actually filled it out. But once you get all of that information and those answers, it is like a sigh of relief. Ashley, if you want to go ahead and ask your questions, you can. I'm more than happy to answer them right now. Or if you want to wait until the end, it's whatever you prefer.
Oh, sure. Basically, my question is, I wasn't sure if you wanted to continue going in the order, but I wanted to ask, because I'm actually part of the Skintress team as well with Tandy, and we are currently in the test product concept stage right now, and we've come across some issues in the process, and we just would love to hear any guidance you have for anyone in that kind of MVP stage where they're trying to validate their findings from their customer discovery to see if their tool or the product that they created is really addressing the needs for their potential customers.
Yeah, so and I can tell you about my own experience and then my experience with my current company. So what they do, what I've done is that usually, again, I start with the customer and then I go ahead and create my hypothesis and then work with like the clients I work with, and then I actually ask them to test it. Because they will give me the best feedback, because that technically is my target audience. And then as far as the company that I work with now, we're actually testing a new product, And what we're doing is sending them to our current customers. So again, they give the best feedback because they're already your target audience, and they also have the budget that will actually help them power the product too. And then they are also your evangelists. So if it works for them, then it'll work for other people as well. I'm not sure if that really answered your question, but that's just based on my experience and then like the company that I work with.
Thank you for sharing your experience. I think because for our situation, it is a bit unique in that our customers, as Kenny had mentioned, are usually payers like insurance companies, but our users tend to be patients with these chronic skin conditions. So we've been trying to connect with people, and we do have a following on social media, but actually having people to test out the product, that's kind of the issue that we're having, where we want a sizable amount of people to actually test the product. And that's kind of like where we're at, because we are trying to get this, in our very early stages product for people to test it out. And
Ashley, go ahead, Ashley.
Oh no, you can go ahead. It's basically because we're just trying to make sure that what we're doing is basically the best process, especially because we're so early stage, and we were planning on putting it on the App Store, but as you know, like putting apps in Apple, it's also very expensive, and so we want to retain like a low burn rate as much as possible. And because we're such in the early stage, we're trying to like figure out like what is the best way to market this and to find these potential users, because we're so early stage, and get these findings as well.
Actually, quick question. So, all right, let me see if I am getting this correct. So, you are selling to insurance companies, but their clients are using the products. Is that correct?
Yes, like the patients under those plans.
Okay. And then, so you say you already have a group of you already have a group of patients. So there's no way you can go straight to the patients then instead of going to the insurance companies to get to their patients, or is that an option?
Well, the thing is, right now, we do have connections, I would say more so because we're skincare related, with actual dermatologists.
Right.
But they're sometimes dermatologists can be payers, but most of the times they're just providers, so they're not often the payers. And so we don't necessarily have direct contacts with insurance companies, but at the same time, they want to be very protective of their patients and clients. And usually the way it's like a catch-22, if they were to actually do like a pilot project, they would want some initial data that shows, okay, is this something that people actually use? So that's where we're at our catch-22, because there could be patients or these users who are trying to find these products. So we don't necessarily have to go through an insurance company. It's more like, because it's like a network, we can try going to an insurance company, but I'm sure they would still want some initial data to show that people actually use this. And so we thought, okay, what if we show that there are users, like you said, there's evangelists who really want a product like this. And that's kind of the stage we're in now. And we just want to be very conscious about also our burn rate, because putting an app, especially if it's in its early stage on the App Store, could be really expensive. We're just trying to be very mindful about that.
Sure.
Can I add to that?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I want to add to that because so like I know that potentially you can work with an insurance company and do like a contract for an X amount of patients, but the catch-22 that Ashley's talking about is like also, well, your platform, your MVP has to be perfect. So like our catch-22 is like, how do we use the most cost-effective way to create an MVP to test out our product, so we're not going to insurance companies too early and kind of like running into the problem of, okay, well, now they're not going to renew the contract because our MVP didn't improve the health outcomes to the percentage that we thought it would.
Okay, awesome. Ooh, that is very difficult. And to be honest, I'm going to be very transparent because I do not have an answer for that. Because usually the companies that I have worked with, or I've started, or I look at pitch decks for, it's like business to business. But even business to business, it's definitely not as complex as what you all are doing, or then it's business to like consumers. So to be honest, I would have propose like go directly to the consumers, but because they are protected by those insurance companies and those doctors, that's something that I am not comfortable.
Krystal, I don't mean to interrupt you, but Dr. Kiki is knocking at the door. Can you let her in?
Oh, let me see. Hold on. Wait. Oh, wait.
I just got her.
Oh, you got her? Awesome.
Yep.
And
Thanks.
then
I hadn't seen that. Hadn't seen that pop up. Thank you.
Okay. And then Kate, if you have any advice for them as far as like how they can continue to test their product concept, so they can go to the insurance companies, that would probably be helpful because I'm at a deadlock.
Great. I'll actually take a think on that. And for that team, I'm happy to do a one-on-one too to walk through that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yep.
Great. Thank you so much.
Because I definitely want to make sure that you all get the help that you need. So, all right, let me see. Awesome. So this could help with some tools. And again, I know that Tandy, you're talking about like how can I get customers to like figure out like if this is a good fit for them. Usually what I've done in the past and like what we're currently doing is like asking friends and family, poll questions on social media like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or you can do a Google consumer survey. So making qualifier questions, open-ended questions first, gather up the data, rinse and repeat, and then create multiple choices for the second interview to make sure that you continue to grab that data. And I believe I have something in the chat. Let me check. And then I missed it, but we'll also love to connect with insurance companies as well if that's what was mentioned. Okay, Dr. Kiki. But I guess we can talk about any tools that you all have used and any tools that have worked. These are the tools that I've used personally. So if anyone else has any tools, and then what you gathered from that data, was it on point? Was it different? I know Kim, you talked about how you thought every woman felt like that, and it was totally different when you got those results back. Did anyone else have that either? Oh, and then beware of bots. Yes, bots are so crazy on Instagram when you're doing your posts. So make sure that when you are doing your posts, they are by real people.
I will say the tool that I used, Innovation Within, was a really great tool because not only did it help me to sort of get through my interviews, but it helped me to sort of build out my business model. Starting with my hypothesis, it's a great tool for when you're invalidating something. It records your interviews with people, sort of records. I don't know if there is like a platform cost, but I think it's really affordable. I got mine free through the university from going through the program, but it is something that I continue to use afterwards because customer discovery is forever. It's continuous. So if you wanted to invest in a really cool tool, that was great for me.
And then Belle said, Kim, what was the tool again?
It's called Innovation Within. A lot of universities, to my understanding, are leaning toward it. It's a great tool. Again, it helps you to first build out your entire business model, which is great. It helps you to manage it. And then the interviews, they interpret, you could pay like 10 cents and it will sort of interpret your interview, break it down for you. I can't think of the actual word. I'm having a brain freeze now, but it goes from the actual interview that you're recording to transcribing it. That's what I'm looking for. So it's a really great tool.
Nice.
I'll put it in the chat.
Thanks, Kim.
My pleasure.
Any other tools that someone has used to help with their customer discovery in their surveys? Awesome. So I believe this. So building your MVP, of course, everyone knows the MVP. I put Kobe Bryant because that's one of my favorite players. And basically MVP is a product that has just enough features to satisfy your early customers and provide feedback for future development. And so MVP tools, you can do landing pages, which is creating a value proposition. And of course, it needs to be compelling. You can collect emails, and then other tools that you can create your MVP or IM Creator, LaunchRock, and then Bubble. So you are able to create a website that will also be, you can also create through Bubble, you can also create like a app that can be used as your MVP. And so has anyone used these tools, or do you currently have an MVP, and then what does that look like? And what have you gained from creating your MVP?
I can speak about that. So we're in our third MVP now, but the first one was done in Shopify, which is crazy because we're a logistics company, but it was so great because we learned so much from the customer, and it only took me 3 hours to make it and $56. So when I was learning through the customers, I knew what we need to improve for the second and the third MVP, in which I hired a software developer. So it was great because in my first startup, I jumped directly to work with software developers. So after a year of paying people, I realized the customers needed different things. So that's one of the reasons I closed my first startup.
Nice. Shopify is clutch. And again, like you said, it was $56. And I believe also MailChimp, I believe you can also create landing pages with them to collect emails. I'm currently using this company called Circle SO to build a community for my educational platform. So I can put that in the chat as well for people that are wanting to build a community around their product. And I'll put that in the chat as well when it's over. And I'm almost done actually. So any questions and answers? Again, my name is Krystal, and then you can contact me at Krystal at WRULE.VC. And let me check the chat to see. Yes, please. Okay. Kim, what was that you wanted? Say yes, please.
About the community.
Okay.
I want more. You're doing office hours today, right?
I am.
Okay, great. Because I have some questions. I want to pick your brain about that because, of course, we're, someone asked me, are you building your community to attract customers? Are you, and obviously we're not. We're building our customers because we need customers first, but we want to build the community around the customers as well. So yes, I have a couple questions for you during office hours.
Okay, and then I just sent that. But is there any questions about customer discovery? I did a light overview because I knew most of you all are ahead of the game. So let me know.
I have a question. So I know that when you do customer discovery, let's say you're not doing it on a survey like Google Forms or SurveyMonkey, right? And you're just getting these papers, maybe you're doing like a questionnaire and people are filling it out, maybe you're talking to someone on the phone. How do you kind of take what your learnings, right, and then like compile them and say, okay, well, based on all this stuff, we know that they're going to do X, or we know that X is going to happen, or we know this hypothesis has been tested and it's a go, or like it's not a go. Like, how does that work? Is there like a specific process that people go through, or is it just like 1 out of 10 people said, yes, I would go here? You know what I mean?
Right. So are you asking as if like if I'm calling you, Tandy, and it's like, hey, Tandy, I just want you to answer these 10 questions, and then you answer the 10 questions, then I ask 10 other people, and then it's like, okay, how can I get all of this information to see? So what I've learned in the past is I do an overarching theme, kind of like with my hypothesis. Like, okay, I know for a fact the the colleges and universities, they care about career development. They care about holistic development. They care about mental health. They also care about, let's just say, NIL rules, which is name, likeness, and image. And I'm like, okay, well, I've interviewed 10 student athlete development coordinators, and let me see what they all care about. And so I don't more so say like, okay, 9 out of 10 said they care about student athlete development and career development, but like, why do they care about that? And then so that's how I do it, and then basically just match up the themes to see like what they care about and why they care about it, and that will help you dictate based on your customer discovery and how you can better serve them.
And Krystal, can I also interject something that was really key to me for the process? So, for example, when we got into the interview part, we didn't go in asking people specific questions about the rideshare, because what we found, like when you're asking your friends, your families, a lot of times they don't want to tell you, what you don't want to hear. So you have to be very strategic in how you're answering these questions, because you have to get to the fact, is there a problem that you're solving? So we didn't go in with questions like, well, we're starting this rideshare company and we want to know, would you use it? We had to go in, we had to find out things like, have you ever had an issue, or, how do you feel about certain things? So, because trust me, people will lie to you, just not to hurt your feelings or what. Oh, I think it's a great company. Yeah, you should do it. But you have to really find out, is it beyond a good idea? Will you use this? Will you be a customer? And so that process really helped us a lot. And it was tricky, because a lot of people came back to me that answer certain ways. And I was like, no, it's okay. I wanted your honest opinion, because it helped us to determine who our segment was going to be. And so I had one, we interviewed really quickly, the assistant sheriff of Charlotte Mecklenburg, North Carolina, and she's retired now. And I asked her, and she was like, no, I'm not afraid. I was like, okay. So we started asking questions, but then I found out she's packing a 9mm. I wouldn't be afraid either. But yeah, it's very strategic in how you get to what's actually going to be a customer for you. So.
For sure, and that's why I like suggest like 3 different approaches, because that means that you may be interviewing at least 10 people all the way to like 50 to 70 people based off social media, your friends and family, and then sending out customer surveys that you may have, like a focus group like we talked about. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I have a question.
Okay.
I know I'm like late to the game. But what do you think about creating and engaging a community for your business before you're even asking them to do a purchase or a transaction? And I'll give you a scenario. So I'm working with this trading card application that's like in the collectibles industry, but it's for student athletes, where they can be able to build their.
What's the name?
What's the name? It's called All American You.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that on your LinkedIn earlier. I kind of stalked you a little bit earlier.
Yeah. So and it's for student athletes. So essentially, I've been telling them to that they should create and engage their student community, building a YouTube channel and having them contribute, and just kind of building up their social engagement. And then as you build that community, I feel like that becomes your customer base. So what do you think about stuff like that?
No, I encourage all student athletes to do that within my current business. So basically, I help them create businesses as student athletes, and I tell them that they need 3 months to build up their consumer base, but also building a community that know them and trust them. That way, so when they are able to monetize, then they were like, well, she's been putting out fire content for the last 3 months. Like, I know she knows what she's talking about. Because even the community I'm building right now with Circle, I'm not going to monetize that until 6 months. But I know I'm starting from scratch. So that's what I encourage all people to do, to give yourself about 3 months to create content, add value, and then you can monetize, because again, they already know that they've been in your community and they like you, they know you, and they trust you, and they trust that you're not going to lead them down the wrong path, or whatever they purchase from you is going to add value.
Okay, awesome. Because I know, especially in the gaming industry, I feel like they do that really well, where they can be able to engage their, community, all these like gamers, right? They'll like, go in and play a lot of these games, whether it's online. Some of them just watch, which I think is like the wildest thing. Some of them just literally sit there and watch other people play on YouTube. Like my nephew, he does that all day long. Like, I'm like, you're not even playing. He's like, oh, I'm watching somebody else. I'm like, why are you watching a YouTube of somebody playing a video game?
Esports is huge. I know when I worked at the NFLPA, I had to do a research project about how it will continue to grow into like $1 billion industry within the next 5-7 years. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think there was one, I don't know if it sold out at the Madison Square Garden, but I don't know, or if it was really close, but there was people just watching people play sports. Play like video games. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but let's definitely talk offline too about you with the student athletes.
Okay, for sure.
All right, cool.
Any other questions? I know I have about 3 minutes.
I have a question. So I know you said on your platform you're producing content and you're doing it for at least like 6 months before you start monetizing. You have pretty much like a mixture of content where it's like polls, questions, information. So what have you noticed are some of the things that people really gravitate towards in regards to content, and what are some of the things that you would advise against using as content?
Yeah. So what I usually do is like, again, 3 common mistakes that student athletes make. I create a content calendar, and I'll tell you exactly what I just did this weekend. So I go through their pain points, what they can do to gain, and then I create content around that. And then I either turn it into like IG posts, I turn it into IG reels. Because my student athletes are a younger demographic, they're about 8 to 22, they don't read as much, but they'll watch videos. So I do a lot of video content, or I did in the past. So now I'm revamping some of the video content that I'm doing. And then I do a few Instagram lives with other student athletes as well. I did that during the pandemic, just because, again, video content, that's what they like. So I go after what I know that they enjoy watching, and then I create content around that. But if you want, I can send you some of the things that I talk about within the community. That way you'll have that. And then also for the colleges and universities, because their needs are different from student athletes, their needs is like, well, we want to help them get jobs and we want to help them get internships. Cool. Well, I have a newsletter once a month that goes out to them specifically to engage with colleges and universities.
Got you. All right. I'll continue in the office hours. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Well, awesome. Thank you all. Kate, Charles, I appreciate you all inviting me on. I appreciate you all believing in me as well to do this. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, ladies. I hope I was able to answer all of your questions and add value. Again, I can send my email in the chat, and then also if you want to meet me in for office hours, I'll be there as well.
Yeah, Krystal, thank you so much. Definitely appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think everybody definitely got something out of it. So, you know, yeah, I mean, come back again anytime.
Thanks.
Bye, Krystal. Thanks, everybody.
You.
Hey, just to let everybody know, we were supposed to have a fireside chat on Wednesday with Benny Ashburn. I don't know if you guys saw it on the website and everything, but she had a funeral. There's a funeral that she has to go to. So unfortunately, we had to reschedule with her. So we're in the process of trying to figure out her reschedule now. But yeah, so it's kind of a light week. We do have one other session on Wednesday, finding the right advisor, and that's actually with Kate. Kate's gonna do that one, and then we have a VC in residence session on Friday. So that's about it. Is there any other questions that you guys have?
I have a question about the VC in residence. Is it like how to become a VC in residence, or can we just ask more questions around like venture capital, like how would they look for and stuff like that?
Yeah, no. So that's a good question. No, it's literally like we just really about asking questions, getting tips, tools that they can be able to provide for you, like whether you guys are trying to raise or in the future want to raise money, stuff like that. Like and we wanted to make sure, I think my goal was to try to get all of the VCs to be of women, because I thought it'd be kind of cool, but you know, that wasn't the case. However, you know, I did get some amazing VCs along with Kate. Kate brought some good folks to the table. So, and we thought that it would have been cool to have somebody each week, you know, that you guys can be able to speak to. So this Friday, it will be my Nico, who is from Chloe Capital. So, and she's great. She's amazing. I spoke to her a couple of times. So.
Okay, I will come prepared with questions.
Cool. Anything else? No? Well, all right, guys. You guys, happy Monday. It's raining over here in LA, so I hope the weather is better in other places. All right. Well, take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.